internet bust, the dot-com bubble they called it, and that's when kind of everything crashed. And at that point, I was in management. I had a great um, high-level position. I was making fabulous money, and the company that I worked for downsized. They downsized. Most high tech were really downsizing management, and I was without a job. And for 20 years, I took care of myself. I traveled around the world. I made a lot of money. I had fun. And I woke up one morning, and it's like, I don't have a job. And that insecurity was like so overwhelming. I remember being in a supermarket and trying to shop, and 5 different times I was took someone else's carriage. They were like, I was in a fog. It was like I lost my security blanket. What am I going to do? And I did a lot of networking, a lot of interviewing, but I was coming up with stumbling blocks, and I'm sure you've all heard this and probably talked about it in your business classes, but it was companies, number one, they were downsizing, so they really weren't hiring. They were doing a lot of interviewing, window shopping, they called it. But they weren't going to go hire a high-level person for a position that they felt you were overqualified. So you ran up against that constantly. Life had changed. It was no longer networking as much through people as it was having to, go on to the internet, into career places and Monster and find jobs that way. This was all new. You guys do this now, but going back a few years, this was all kind of evolving. Anyways, long and short of it, it was like I was getting really frustrated because my personality was like, I'm getting nowhere fast. And just out of a whim to keep my sanity, I started designing jewelry. And I started selling this jewelry. And I had friends that were in retail, and I had gone to shows and stuff with them, and kind of like one thing led to another. And I think maybe, again, it was my personality looking outside the box. I ended up opening my own business. I opened a retail boutique. And that started doing really, really well. And then I opened my second one. And I did really well with that. And I was growing, and I was learning what I found, because when people ask me, like, how'd you go from high tech to this other side? And it was the things about me I learned. I learned about being, taking care of my customers, keeping my commitments, being open, being receptive, helping, find the solution to people. That I took those and brought it into the retail industry. And I realized my customer was the number one person. As long as I made the customer happy, hopefully, they'll buy and things will be well. So I did that, and then in 2008, we had another economic nightmare, when the whole crisis of Wall Street. And being a small business owner, what happens is that business didn't slow down. It stopped. People just stopped buying. Banks stopped giving money out to small businesses. And again, it was like this life-changing thing was happening to me. It's like, okay, do I hang in there? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? What am I going to do? And after a year or so, and I look back and I say, the skills that I had, that I learned from high tech, thankfully helped me make this decision, that even though my passion and my love was this whole creative side of, having gifts and pleasing people, the practical side was that I could not live on wooden nickels. No one can live on wooden nickels. I didn't have a trust fund or something that could support me. I had to look at my future. So I chose then to close one of the businesses, and then I gave the second one another year run at it, and I decided, like, no, I'm going to close that. Again, I walked away from that. Like, I had a lot of friends that really felt like were devastated by it, and I tried to look at it and say, like, I didn't fail. I tried it. I stepped outside the box. I took a business. I grew it. I had goals for it. The goals, did I achieve those goals after a period of time? Some I did it, some I didn't. And then I had to make that calculated decision. What do I do? Do I go forward or do I make a change? I decided to make a change. Um, Again, I'm going to put timing in there because I was fortunate that Eileen Fisher, which is a women's owned business out of New York, wonderful, wonderful company, was opening in Burlington, Massachusetts. They were looking for a manager to run that business. And after a summer long of interviewing, I was hired, and that's where I am now. And the type of business that I'm doing right now in the store that we have in Burlington is really very entrepreneurial. It's there's not a lot of planograms and corporate directive. It's really, I have to work very reactive because it's what we call the liquidating side of the business. So again, the skills that I had over here when I had my own business, I was able to bring to Eileen Fisher. Again, did I really know this? Was I conscious of this? No, no. I learn as I evolve and I learn about myself each day. I realize, like, this is what I bring to the party. And I guess what I'm trying to say in a nutshell to you guys is that there's two different skills. There's skills that you're going to learn in your careers that are whether it be accounting or real estate or whatever. But then there's your intricate skills. There's you. There's what you learn about yourself. You learn, that, well, you know what, I'm a good negotiator, or I'm a person that I really like to take risks. And you might not be conscious of that right now, but you'll realize looking back and say, you know what, I stepped out of the box. Everyone was going this way, and I wanted to try different skateboard. That taking that risk, going the different way, is that these are the things that make us who we are. And when we go and we try a career and we find that maybe, you're not loving it, that you take that skills and you try it someplace else. And so the crooked career path, I think, for me was like, sometimes you go up, you go sideways, you go down, you go around, but you keep going and you find those kind of the chapters of your life and what works, and it all kind of comes together. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but it does. And you really learn a lot about yourself.
Thank you. How many of you actually think you know what you want that first job out of college to be? Do any of you have a kind of a clear definition in your mind of what you want it to be? I know some of you have expressed interest in opening your own businesses. Some of you have specific, areas that you're interested in. But I hope that in some ways this opens your eyes to the fact that it might not always be what you think it's going to be. And not only that, the skills that you learn in one thing that might seem somewhat unrelated, as Kathleen was just saying, those are your personal skills that you're building on, that you can apply across different jobs and across different industries. So there's just so many different opportunities out there. Before I go on, I'm going to ask the ladies another question, but I'm wondering, does anybody have any questions of them? Would anybody like to specific? Go ahead, Morgan.
For you, how hard was it to open your own business?
How hard was it? How hard? You know what? It took some time. It took me probably about a year, between 6 months and a year, and it was like really, I took advantage of SCORE, that's the small business men that are retired through the chamber, and I worked with them to develop a business plan and really tried to dot my I's and cross my T's to make sure that I was covering everything. So yeah, probably right around a year.
I think one of the things with, the business, for those of you that are in the 4-year management degree here, you will have to write a business plan in your last class. And it's very involved, and the students often come out of it saying, oh, there's no way I'd actually open this business, because there's no way I'd actually make ends meet, because it's so much to think about that you don't always, it's not always front and center, things that you can miss. Any other questions before we go on? Okay. I thought maybe I'd just throw out a question as to maybe advice that you've had along the way that somebody's given you, that, you know, if anybody has something that they'd like to throw out that, you know, you wish you had known, or that you would relay to them. I think, you know, Kathleen, you kind of touched on that already, but if any of the others have some advice that you would offer? Nancy, you want to try first, or?
I think what's important, that I wish I had known a lot earlier, is that what you love to do is probably what you're the best at. And if you can figure out what it is you love to do and learn to do it as well as you can, you'll probably be a success.
Yeah, completely agree. I think, always, try to keep learning, because you've got to continue to make yourself valuable and make yourself somebody that people want to bring on board or want to give an opportunity to. And, I think there's a saying that, luck is the intersection of hard work and opportunity coming together. I may have it wrong, but it's something like that. It's not just, luck, okay, you're here today, you're going to get a job. It's hard work is a big part of it. So
I completely agree with both of them. You have to enjoy what you do. You have to love it. Because if you don't have a passion for what you do, I mean, obviously everyone knows you need to have a job at the end of the day to support yourself, to pay rent, to live, to eat. But you have to have a passion for what you do. And I think with that passion, if you know you like something, you're going to try your best to do your best at it. And I've been fortunate to have very good mentors along the way. I have PwC, the audit firm that I work for. They actually have a coaching program where every person has a mentor, has a coach. So all the way up to the director partner role, you have a mentor, you have a coach, because you're always learning. Even today, I might be a controller of a company. I manage their cash, their buildings, their investments, but I have a great boss. I was very fortunate to have a great mentor, and I learn from him every day. I think one of the skills that I picked up and have kind of sharpened along the way is challenge and being able to overcome challenges. That's a tool and a skill set that you're going to need as you go along your way, in your career. So, she said, luck, you can have so much of it, but you also have to be challenged and be able to overcome those challenges. Nothing is going to be put on your plate, and for you to come and get it. Once you get it, you have to know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's my best advice.
I think probably the two things for me is to having a mentor, having someone that you can go to, because I think that's really important. And the other thing is, like, no matter what you do, wherever you work, is to be honest with yourself and stay away from the politics. Just do the best job you can, be honest, and do not get into the politics, because in many corporations there's a lot of political things that come up, and you don't want to go down those paths.
Mm-hmm. True. Now, I don't know if any of you, if you all picked up on the fact that 3 out of the 4 of these very successful women had what happened to them at some point in their career. You know what I'm talking about? They were laid off. So, I mean, they, and the one that didn't, what is her career? accounting and finance. So if
Can't go
anybody,
wrong.
so if anybody is interested in accounting and finance, I'm just saying, it might be something you might want to consider. Mrs. Brady tells this story